senators and MPs of the 45th Parliament will be sworn in ahead of the coalition's second term of government. Mr. Morrison, who appears weekly on the 2GB radio presenters show, clashed over the parliamentary sitting calendar and how much work MPs get to do. Mr. Hadley took issue with the fact there are only 27 sitting days left this calendar year, and claimed there were a lot of bludgers and leaners in the federal parliament. He said truck drivers and battlers working 16-hour days in Sydney's Western Brisbane just wouldn't understand the indefensible lack of commitment shown by MPs. But Mr. Morrison fired back, defending MPs, saying they worked every single day. "You're assuming that nothing happens between sitting weeks, and I know you don't think that." Quote, Mr. Morrison said. Mr. Morrison also accused Mr. Hadley of firing cheap shots at MPs, saying the Parliament was sitting for the same amount of time that had been scheduled before the July 2nd election. But Mr. Hadley didn't let the issue go. He then told the Treasurer, "You might work every single day, but I am sure there are a lot of bludgers and leaners inside the federal parliament who are delighted to go home every Thursday, have a long weekend, and come back on Sunday night or Monday morning." But Mr. Morrison refused to back down and accept his claims. He replied, "Ray, I don't think that's a very fair criticism at all. Name who they are." Mr. Morrison said the Parliament would sit as often as necessary to pass legislation, claiming no bill would fail because of a shortage of sitting time. "I think that's a bit cheap, mate," he said. "Ray, you know a lot of politicians and you know they work hard." Mr. Morrison said Mr. Hadley was deliberately misleading listeners. "Politicians work 60 to 70 hours a week. That's what we do all the time," Mr. Morrison said. "And we do it in the Parliament. We do it in our communities. We're doing it at events in our electorates at night, supporting local charities, supporting all of these events that take place, working with constituents in our offices." PM Malcolm Turnbull will lay out a 25-point battle plan as MPs return for the start of the 45th Parliament. "We love doing that job like everyone else likes doing their job, and we all work hard. If people think the only time members of Parliament are actually doing something is when they're sitting in the chamber, those who know a lot more about this process, like you, would know that's not the case." Mr. Morrison also tried to say that, like Mr. Hadley, politicians worked even when they weren't in Parliament, just like the broadcaster often does. But Mr. Hadley was quick to shut him down. "Don't drag me into it. I'm not getting paid by the public, you are," Mr. Hadley said. "I get paid by how successful I am, and I've been fairly successful over a long period of time, so don't try and compare me with you. I was here at 4 o'clock this morning. I'll finish about 6:30 tonight for your information." News.com. Ours privacy policy includes important information about our collection, use and disclosure of your personal information, including to provide you with targeted content and advertising based on your online activities. It explains that if you do not provide us with information we have requested from you, we may not be able to provide you with the goods and services you require. It also explains how you can access or seek correction of your personal information, how you can complain about a breach of the Australian privacy principles, and how we will deal with a complaint of that nature.